from the Tennessee Valley Weather Channel. This is a severe weather alert.
Go.
Good afternoon, everybody. Meteorologist Taylor Plott here, along with meteorologist Kelly Ross and Chase Wilson, also in-house, watching the radar very closely. We're still watching that severe thunderstorm warning here for Maury County. Let's go ahead and zoom in close to this, Chase, and take a look at that hail core. I mentioned we'll be back on here to watch that hail core. It is now moving into Maury County. It's going to impact the Bethel community, the Santa Fe community. Here in about, I would say, 8 minutes or so is when this will start getting close to you all, maybe about 5 to 8 minutes. Theta at about 340, Jameson at 342, Smarden at 342 as well. Neapolis, Lanton, and Boston at 343 to 345. That's a new. That's that new tornado, or sorry, not tornado warning. The new severe thunderstorm warning that has a tornado possible tag on it. That's because of this backside area of rotation here. Let's look at the velocity real quick. I notice. Let me see what this skip box has. Shear 80 miles per hour, 73 dBz at 28,000 or 20,800. That's pretty good. That's your hail core. And then BTI on that is a 4.7. BTI stands for the Barron Tornado Index. Anytime that really gets high, we're talking about like 6, 7, 8, you really have to be concerned about some tornado potential with it. The fact that it's a 4.7, that's catching my eye a little bit. That tells me that it's definitely trying to get its act together. So there's a chance, that's why the Weather Service has that tornado possible tag on it, that there could be a tornado that develops from this area of rotation. And this, let me put my finger or my hand right here. Go back to reflectivity. So yeah, there's a lot of inflow coming into this. There is rotation with it, you see on the velocity data, but if you go back to velocity, you see that it's in that kind of open area. So that's that inflow screaming into this supercell, and you do have some rotation on the back side, but it's not, it hasn't curled around and actually gotten that rear flank downdraft in with the inflow. So there's that rear flank downdraft. That's winds that are coming on the back side of the storm. All that hail, all that rain, all that wind from this hail core then gets pushed out and it gets wrapped back around on the back side because of the circulation. And if you get inflow that's strong enough and a good rear flank downdraft, it all curls around and get that nice hook, and you get that tornado that develops. Right now, the hook is more of an appendage as opposed to a hook. So that tells me that it's trying to get its act together. It's trying to rotate strongly at the low levels and get something going. But there's just things that are out there that are preventing it from doing that right now, which is very good news. Let's hope that continues to be the case. Kelly, are we ready with some of the viewer pictures out there? Not yet. We got some viewer pictures that will be ready here shortly of some hail that has been falling from this storm. The Barron button here, 2+ inch hail in diameter is possible in the Water Valley area, Santa Fe, up towards Bethel, Theta, and Jameson. And this will continue to track northeast and eventually get out of Maury County. Where's Columbia? Columbia is down here. So here's the downtown area of Columbia. So again, Columbia, you are not in this severe thunderstorm warning. This is off to your north. This is the northern part of Maury County. Spring Hill, you are in this severe thunderstorm warning. And then eventually you'll go further to the northeast of that and you get out of our viewing area and get closer to the south side of the Nashville metro area is where this supercell will eventually track. So here's that massive hail right here. Let's zoom in a little bit tight, Chase. Let's take a look at some of the smaller communities here. So yeah, Water Valley, here's the Natchez Trace Parkway. It's right on top of that right now, and it's continuing to move this way. So Water Valley, Bethel, what's in between Santa Fe and Bethel? I know that there's a lot of people that live out here in some smaller, do what?
I was about to mention Hilltown here.
Yeah, Hilltown right here.
Unincorporated community there, yeah.
Right smack dab in that middle of that hail core right there. Fly at McKnight and Bethel. I think most of this ends up staying south of Fly, McKnight, and Bethel. This is more Hilltown and eventually getting close to the Theta area. And that is just some massive hail right there. What's the DBZ values on this? That's got to be close to like
70, 75, I'd guess.
70, 75, 72 and a half.
Yeah.
So anytime you start getting values like that, you see the little legend right here, anytime you start getting into those black colors, that's a good indication of some very large hail. There's still hail in this purple area as well, but the biggest size are going to be in the darker shaded areas here right on top of Hilltown. This is Tennessee Highway 7 that kind of snakes its way through this the country part of Murray County. Fly, McKnight, Bethel, you're on that northern side of that hail core. You're probably seeing a little bit of some hail, but I think the sizes of that are probably close to dime size. I don't think it's going to be absolutely substantial, but again, the bigger hail is going to end up staying south of you. If you live in Theta, this is just a heads up. If you live in Theta, if you live in Burwood, and I would also say maybe the northern part of Jameson here, and northern part of Spring Hill near Thompson Station, you have time to move your vehicle into a carport or a garage if you have that available. If you are able to move your vehicle into a safe spot, I would go ahead and do that because, again, this is some pretty significant hail and it is ground confirmed. We are getting confirmation and pictures out there of very large hail that is falling from this storm around golf ball size hail. There could be some hailstones that get a little bit larger as well. I think, Kelly, you're ready for some viewer pictures. So, all right, so this is from Larry. You know how you say his last name? Is that Olette? Larry Olette from Linden, Tennessee. That's about golf ball size hail right there. And that could easily do some pretty significant damage. The other thing is, this hail's falling, but there's also wind with that part of the storm because it is the downdraft. So you're getting a push downward from the storm. So this hail isn't just, falling down just like, me holding a golf ball and just dropping it. No, it's actually being thrown down by the storm. And you could get damaging wind gusts around 60 to 70 miles per hour with that. So think about that hail falling, but the hail's being thrown down and driven by wind. So that's going to potentially knock out some windows and cause some property damage. This is from the Weather Service. This is Chrissy Hurley from the Weather Service in Nashville. Listen up, Thompson Station and Spring Hill. It's time to put those cars in the garage, like I just mentioned. The storms are coming your way. Hailers are coming your way, up to 2-inch size hail. We would not be surprised there's some tennis ball size hail with the storm with a 70 dBz value at 30,000 feet. So what that means, that DBZ, that's that reflectivity, that's that black spot on the map. That's all this that you see here is called DBZ, and it's basically the radar's way of detecting how much energy is being reflected back to it. Like I mentioned earlier, you get a very large item in there like a hailstone. It has high reflectivity because when the radar beam hits it, the energy that's being reflected back to it is extremely loud, basically. It's a loud signal that comes back. And so it knows that, hey, that is some pretty intense hail, rain, whatever's going on there. The radar is saying that's a very strong signal that I get back. So the fact that the signal is 70 dBz or potentially higher at 30,000 feet, that's where the bulk of the hail is located. If it's up that high, and that is a high reflectivity value, that high up, that is a very significant updraft, and that has some very significant hail with it. So if you live in Theta, if you live in Thompson Station, Burwood, Jameson, I think it misses you to the north. I think it misses Spring Hill close to the north, but it's a little too close for comfort. But Thompson Station for sure, like the Weather Service, and like I mentioned earlier, if you have the ability to get your car into a garage or a carport, I would go ahead and do that. If you don't have that available and you're actually able to do this, I would just drive. I mean, if you can get out, get out. If you're worried about your vehicle getting impacted by this hail threat, you have time. If you wanted to do that, if you don't have a carport or a garage available and you live in Thompson Station, if you live in Spring Hill, if you want to and you're able to, I would just kind of head out just for a little bit. You have no other big storm behind it right now, so it's not like you leave, you're going to have an immediate storm behind it. So if you want to head south just a little bit to get away from that, if you don't have a carport or a garage, I would go ahead and do that if you're able to. But if not, that's some pretty massive hail moving into the Thompson Station area, getting right on top of Theta right now. This is getting very close to the 840 belt line here on the south side of the Nashville metro area. And there's a lot of people A lot of places that are starting to pop up here along that southern corridor around the southern side of the Nashville metro area, Thompson Station being one of them, and Burwood as well. So again, this is moving up in that general direction. Chase, if you want to do another quick storm track, and then I want to pop back down to that storm that is in Wayne County, because that one, I think is it still looking pretty good down there? Is it kind of weakening a little bit?
It's kind of steady state in that.
Steady state?
We've lost it on the Waynesboro camera, but we have it on the Hohenwald
Hohenwald?
camera, looking kind of back there now. So,
Okay, I see that over here.
We're keeping a close eye on that here, just
Okay.
behind the scenes, and as it gets closer, I'll throw that over to you.
Okay, so let's stay here real quick and do a storm track on this. So this is for that hail potential. Again, you see that hook back there. There's really no big tight area of rotation, so there's no real tornado concern right now, but we're watching it closely. But this is the hail potential. Theta at 337. That's a minute or two. I mean, it's getting on top of you right now. Jameson 340, Burwood at 344, Boston at 344, Spring Hill and Thompson Station around 347 to 350. So that's your bigger areas of population here. And then eventually Bethsaida, Franklin, and Paytonsville. That's out of our viewing area, but I know a lot of people still kind of watch us up there towards the Nashville metro area, because whatever happens down here eventually moves up into their neck of the woods. This, Weather Service in Nashville, since the storm has so much hail in it, the velocity signature is looking unrepresentative, just FYI. So I'm not shocked with that. So what the radar, because there's so much hail involved, the beam can kind of get scattered a little bit, and you actually lose a little bit of definition, and kind of you're unable to see the complete picture, if you will, because some of that hail is in the way of the beam from getting into the hook. Let's take a look. I want to see what the velocity says real quick. Oh yeah, you're fine. Then we go back to our live radar. Yeah, so
It's definitely getting noisy back there.
It's getting noisy back there. So again, that's just because of the hail signature. That's what it has. It has so much impact on the radar beam, because it is just so much energy that gets reflected, and it doesn't bounce immediately back to the radar beam. You only get some energy that gets back from the radar beam. Others get bounced to the left, right, up, down, and you lose that. You only get the ones that actually come back. So you get a little bit of a scattering effect.
I'll tell you what, right there, that's
Your spike.
sign.
That's your hail spike right here.
Big hail back there.
Yep. So what that does is, again, the radar beam, it gets reflected, and it will bounce. It will bounce off of the hail. It could go down to the ground. It bounces back off the ground, back off the hailstone, and comes back to the radar beam. So by the time the radar sees it, it's all about timing. The radar listens to when it knows when it sends the signal out, and it knows when that signal comes back in. So if the signal comes out, it hits the hailstone, bounces in some other direction other than back to the radar beam, goes back up, hits the hailstone again, and comes back to the radar. Flip back to velocity real quick, Chase, and that's where you get that spike that is right back through here, because the radar sees it and thinks, oh, hey, that took a little bit more time, so it must be out here. So that's why it makes it look like you get a spike. It's called a hail spike. So that's a good indication of some very large hail there, and that was a lot of noise right there on top of Jameson. So this is our live radar, just barely within range. What is that, Chase?
I was just mentioning with our smaller live radar, when you start getting these values, that's the real deal for sure.
So the NexRad, it has so much more power behind that radar beam that it sends out. So the fact that it's able to see this, and then our radar, which is just a minuscule amount of power compared to what an NexRad has, when it gets that signal off of the DBZ values, that's some very impressive hail right there. So again, that's now moving out of Murray County, and what county?
I think it's Williamson.
Is that Williamson County, I believe? Yeah, Williamson County.
And it looks like now we still do have this kind of hook feature.
Yeah.
Yeah, you definitely see what I see there.
That actually ramped up a little bit.
Yeah, I'll kind of get a few values here. Let me go to our live radar since we're a little lower. And it's a little noisy right now. I'll keep an eye on it here behind the scenes on our live radar, but we're definitely starting to see that hook kind of shape up just a little bit. And we still got maybe a mile or two to go before it gets into Williamson County.
Yeah, it's still Yeah, it's still in our viewing area, so we'll have to keep an eye on that. But that actually ramped back up. What was the previous one? Because it was kind of elongated.
It was a bit bowing out like a dog leg, And watch over here how it's
starting to wrap back around. So that's that inflow starting to get a little more active into it.
Yep.
And that rear flank downdraft starting to wrap back around it. So you get that little bit of a hook shape that we always watch for any tornado potential with this storm. And it's going to be tough. I wonder what the Weather Service in Nashville might do because, again, like they mentioned, there's so much hail involved with this storm. They might not be getting a complete picture of what's going on with that hook feature on the velocity data. So I'm not sure what their mindset would be, but this could be one of those instances where if you can't really see a complete picture with that, you might just have to go off of what the reflectivity shows because it will show you, it's showing you that the inflow is getting better, the downdraft on the backside is getting better, and you're getting a lot more movement in this area. So if they do issue a tornado warning and the velocity doesn't look that good, they might just have to issue it on the fact of the representation on the radar. All right, we're still watching that. Let's bounce down to the Waynesboro storm because that's the next one behind it.
There's actually this one here too, but this is the one we've been.
That's the one we're watching.
Referring to now. I guess now you would technically call it the Hohenwald storm.
It's a Hohenwald storm at this point.
Yeah, and we have that on our live radar at a much better kind of capacity here. It's sort of kind of steady state to what we've been seeing over the last few minutes. And as for rotation, it's a broad rotation. Right, it's there. That much is for sure. And matter of fact, we have it. Yeah, we still have it on 3. We got it facing back. I'll throw you up here.
Yeah, let's look at links 3.
So there it is, looking back into that, and it's kind of got the same structure we saw earlier. And we've been keeping a close eye on that base.
And that base. I don't know if we might be able to. Did we show that on social media at all? That camera picture that we had earlier from Waynesboro?
If we haven't already, we will soon because that was really
good grief.
I mean, you can still see the incredible structure back here.
You can. The tail cloud on this is absolutely phenomenal. It goes for miles, and it has continued to show that. And part of that could be, again, it's riding a boundary that's been laid out by the storm ahead of it. So you end up getting this little bit of a confluence band, if you will, that is kind of, sometimes it feeds into the storm.
I'm sorry to interrupt, but
go ahead.
Nashville's going to go with the tornado warning for that one that we were just talking about.
Okay.
Not too sure if that will include portions of Murray County, but since it's still up there, I think it would be in our best interest to
let's bounce back up there because again, we're watching that one. It's not severe, but it's had some good images on the.
And I certainly don't blame him. Jameson here.
Yeah.
Since we know there's already a tornado warning coming. Let's just go ahead and say it. Let's get into our tornado safe places.
Jameson right now, tornado safe spot. Burr Woods, tornado safe spot. Thompson Station, tornado safe spot. Spring Hill, tornado safe spot. Go back in. What was this one right here? Was that Cleburne?
Cleburne here, just north of Neapolis.
Yep, just north of Neapolis. Neapolis, I don't think you're going to be okay. Cleburne, you're close enough to where you need to be in your tornado space, safe space. Yep, Jameson, Cleburne, Spring Hill, Thompson Station. Go, Chase.
I was just going to say it does include this fringe portion of Murray County, which we are currently talking about. The warning will pop up here in just a moment, but I'll take a look at velocity. And it's still what you were saying earlier. Is exactly,
go off of the reflectivity.
Yeah, and these kind of signals are hard to deny, right? So and matter of fact, we got the new warning here, so we can kind of see the southern edge of it. We were just talking about that here down here.
Yep.
Of course, at least regret. Give it 5 minutes down here. I think the main area concern, though, is Jameson, Spring Hill, up to the county line here where they annexed up into Williamson County and into Thompson Station. Yeah,
exactly. So Annapolis, again, like you're in the warning. Just go ahead and just kind of hunker down for a little bit. But this is going to continue to move off to your northeast. But just like Chase said, of course, least regret, just go ahead, get into your safe spot. You don't have to go underground for this one. You don't have to go in your tornado shelter or like underground or outside. You can just kind of hunker down in your hallway with this one in Annapolis. But Spring Hill, Thompson Station, you need to be in your tornado safe space. Burwood as well. Jameson, give it about 5 more minutes. It's on top of you right now. Theta, you're probably looking pretty good right now, but stay in your tornado safe spot. Boston, that's out of our viewing area though, but like I mentioned, I know some people will watch us up here because like I said, whatever comes from our viewing area goes into their viewing area, so it gives them a nice heads up. So again, Thompson Station, Spring Hill, right here along US 31 as you go from Murray County into Williamson County. This is where your tornado potential is going to be, and it'll eventually cross over Interstate 65 here, probably just to I would say very close to that 840 interchange. It's probably, I think it's going to track more this way. I think it's going to miss the 65 840 interchange, but it's going to be very close.
It would be by the 31 overpass, or the 840 overpass on the Beltway at north of Thompson Station there. I think that's pretty much right where that hook feature is kind of headed, right that general direction.
And like I said, you know, there's a lot of development that's happened out here as Franklin continues to expand, the Nashville Metro continues to expand. So this is not a rural place that used to be that for the longest time. This is now a lot of people live in this area right here, right along that 840 corridor. So 840 and the 65 interchange is right here. 431s is right here along 840, and then you've got the interchange here with 840 and Highway 31. That's where that tornado is moving up towards. So Chase, if you want to back out real quick, we'll give a storm track. And that is, wow.
Pretty interesting.
It's interesting.
Yeah, it's this thing has evolved in so many different ways.
You might end up getting new circulation back here.
Yeah, these things like to cycle like that, so I would certainly believe that. But here's a track for you.
Yeah, go ahead.
I was just going to mention, for our friends in Williamson County, Thompson Station, that's within 5 minutes. It's currently 3:46, so you have a few minutes left there. Franklin, 4 o'clock, Paytonsville, 4:01, Arrington at 4:08, Kirkland at 4:11, Triune at 4:12, and Nolensville at 4:15, and the town hall there in downtown at 4:15. Again, this is not in our viewing area, but we do know that a lot of people watch us for what's coming downstream. So as this moves out of here, we'll probably let it go just a little bit and stick with northern Murray County for a bit since it's still in that tornado warning. But as of right now, I think the hook feature where that rotation would likely be starting to move out of our area, which stops at Murray County and is moving up into Williamson County right now. But that's what we've got right now
and
as far as that's concerned.
And the Weather Service is saying rotation's still not perfect, but we know it's going into some very, very juicy air with backing winds. So again, like we mentioned, they kind of base it off of, hey, it's looking like it's heading in that direction. So they issue the tornado warning. But there is a report of a wall cloud there's wall cloud photos that are being shown in Spring Hill. So there is a lowering with this. There is a wall cloud that is back in this area. This is now moving out of Murray County and moving into Williamson County. We're watching this area right here, but also on the back side of this, these supercells can sometimes be what we call cyclic. They like to cycle. You can get this updraft that gets going, it's strong, it rotates, it can produce a tornado real quick potentially. That weakens, the outflow kind of cuts it off, and it cycles back. A new area of rotation starts to develop on the backside, and then boom, you do it all over again. So this can cycle. So it could be doing that. A lot of times when you start seeing a signature like that, it at least attempts to cycle. I know we've been looking at velocity. Is there anything on the backside of this?
Not really.
Not really?
I think this cell is definitely suffering from a terminal case, so you got environmental context.
Yes.
That much is for sure. And I would definitely say that main appendage, because this is a few minutes old now, so we're starting to get firmly into Williamson County.
Yep.
And we're watching those other storms here behind the scene. And besides this, the remnant stuff here that hasn't been cut back, we don't have any warnings active.
Yes, back over here. Yeah.
This is going to be cut out. Like, for example, down here near Athendale, just east of Highway 7, there's no threat there. A lot of lightning, but they're going to have to trim this back here shortly. Of course, that's their call as they head over the next few minutes, but this is now moving into Williamson County.
So we were looking at this stuff off screen, but there's a product that the Weather Service can use called WAFS. It's Warn On Forecast. So it's basically like live information based on, it shows you environmental conditions, what the reflectivity could look like. It's basically model guidance that literally goes along with the storms. And the probabilistic hazard information is highlighting that this storm has been in higher 0 to 1, what we call SRH. That's helicity. That's basically a fancy term for how much spin that this storm can actually ingest and it can actually maintain. It's going into better tornado probabilities as it works into Wilson County. And this matches up with some other tornado probabilities. So this storm is heading into lower LCLs on the cool side of the boundary, which is not what they want, because you get on that boundary, you start getting a lot more rotation involved. So I'm guessing that's what they're talking about with this storm right here, because it looks like that's where that map that they showed is located. So this will continue to get into a slightly better environment for tornado. But the good thing is, for at least our perspective, is it's moving out of our viewing area and getting into the Franklin and Asheville TV markets, especially in downtown or close to the downtown, or sorry, the Nashville metro area, not necessarily downtown Nashville. So again, we're still watching that just for a little bit longer, but it's moving off to our northwest or northeast. Hohenwald, this is the one that we're watching. It's becoming messy now.
Yeah, we've still got that on Links 3 that we're watching.
Yeah, there's that.
Coming over there. Beautiful structure. And you know what? Here's what I'm going to do. So here's Hohenwald, right? Let's keep that in mind.
Yeah.
And then I'm going to throw you back to Waynesboro here, and it's sort of like Groundhog Day. Got another little cell, wall cloud outbreak, if you will. Looks just like the other one did.
Yeah.
Right in the same path and everything. So we've got the cell after cell after cell. We're starting to see where this boundary is kind of setting up here. So.
And the other thing is, and just from a meteorology side, is what we kind of can look for potentially for higher tornado potential is these storms keep going over and over the same areas. The LCLs, what we call the lifted condensation level, that's where you start getting, that's your cloud base right here. That's your LCL level right here. So basically what that means is when the air rises, where does it condensate? At what level does your cloud actually develop? And one thing that happens with these storms, if they continue to go over and over the same areas, you add more moisture to the surface, you cool the temperatures down a little bit, and those LCL levels start to drop lower. So that's one thing we've noticed is you were looking at some of these sky cams, you look at the storms earlier, and the bases they weren't too high for tornado potential, but they were on the higher side of things, but now they're a lot lower to the ground, and this allows that tornado potential to potentially go up because it's easier for the storm to get rooted immediately down towards the base, towards the surface, so it's easier for those circulations, if they get strong enough, to actually reach the ground. They don't have to go from all the way up here to all the way down here. They just go from like here to here. So it's a lot easier for it to connect to the actual surface of the earth. So that's one thing, is the LCL levels are starting to lower a little bit. But that is, again, just another fantastic look at a supercell here. Doesn't look overly impressive on the reflectivity, but when you just look at it from a visual perspective, I mean, that's absolutely fantastic. What's the NextRad or Live Radar? What does the reflectivity look like?
I'll throw up the Live Radar for you, and you do have a bit of a hook there.
Yeah, right
coming
here
over into the county line. Let's zoom in there. I'll get you a little look in here.
Martin's Mill, just north of Lutz, south of Clifton Junction.
So here's our velocity. So it looks like it's kind of an RFD push.
Yeah,
out
right
there
here.
But we'll have to watch that for sure, because again, like Columbia, right? I mean, or Murray County rather.
Yep.
Reflectivity sometimes is a useful indicator.
It is, and especially with, again, you look at the structure visually, and that is a visually good structure. You look at that and you're like, if you're doing mental checklists on what you would want to see for a potential tornado event to happen from a storm, that's checking the boxes. You got a tail cloud coming in, you've got a little bit of a lowering, but it's a good base. You got a rain-free base, and there's nothing behind it. You don't see anything behind it that would inhibit any inflow from coming into this storm.
Yes, indeed. So that's the other one. And of course, I do want to mention the Hohenwald one, which is, it's kind of getting a little, I mean, there is
It's a little bit right here, but it's very raggedy.
Yeah, I would agree with that. I'll go ahead and get Hohenwald up for you, because we're going to get right underneath that here in a moment.
Yeah, we'll start losing the ability to see back in that area.
So let's take advantage while we can and see what we can see. Yeah, oh wow, we're definitely right underneath it here.
Are we?
Get you, yeah, it's
oh yeah, so here's
nice
that back side right here.
There, yeah. I'll see which direction we're facing real quick. That way we can kind of look into...
And Chase, while you do that, I do just want to give the all clear for you folks in northern, northeastern Murray County. I want to give you guys the all clear that storm system has now crossed the county line. It is now officially out of our viewing area. Still, that tornado warning continues, but I do want to just give the all clear for you folks watching us in northern Murray County, including the community of Spring Hill.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
In that case, no news was good news. Thankfully,
yes.
It's starting to move out of our area, and our friends up there in Nashville, I'm sure, have their work cut out for them for sure.
Yeah, and good thing with that is if there was anything that happened, I think they had a pretty good heads up at that point, because we were on that storm for a while, because that was the only storm that we actually had warned on for severe. So again, this is the one that's looking back towards the Hohenwald area. Here's your base of the storm, and I'm not seeing anything that is...
Yeah, nothing too protuberant or anything like that.
Yeah.
It looks like a flat base.
It looks like a flat base, which is very nice to see. And I'm not shocked with that because if you go to the radar, it doesn't look too overly impressive. You have a little bit of a hook on the backside, but it's not...
Yeah, it's definitely not one of those screaming at you, hey, there's about to be any rotation,
right,
signature, or anything like that.
Right, and there's no active warning on it, even severe.
Yeah, there's not even a
severe.
So again, with that moving out of Murray County, the board will be clear here as of 3:55.
Yep.
Until this is trimmed back. But
until that's trimmed back, but
you
yeah,
are in the clear. Yes.
Yeah, it is now out of Murray County and moving into Williamson County. So like we mentioned earlier, is like it was getting out of that. So it is firmly out of Murray County now.
Not even any precipitation in there.
Yep. So Spring Hill, all that area is down there, northern Murray County that are under the warning. You can come out of your safe spot. You're good to go right now. But we're still watching things off to the southwest.
Yeah, speaking of southwest, let's
look.
I'll do this here with you. Let's see if we got any development going on.
And you can take Chase. Why don't you go ahead and just take that? Just give an update on all that stuff that's happening back towards northern Mississippi.
Take it full there, yeah. So we were going southwest because we want to kind of keep an eye on development out ahead of this front or along the warm front. That's kind of been the key factor of today because we might see more. Well, speak of the devil. How about that? Right as soon as I started doing that, we got another severe thunderstorm warning here for. Excuse me, McNairy County. This goes until 4:45. This is for this portion here, moving up through Middleton, just south of Bolivar into Hornsby. It's going to cross 64, I'd say in about 20 minutes. And this is exactly why I said let's look southwest, and I'm sure you did too, because we were keeping an eye on these behind the scenes earlier. And matter of fact, while I'm here, just really quickly, I want to go look at what I was originally looking at. This just popped a skit there, or a directional marker. So clearly these updrafts are strengthening. This one here is probably really close to the front. Lots of lightning. You can see it's just torrential back in there as far as the lightning. That's probably a scary situation. I hate lightning. I'll put it that way, yeah. But so this is a severe thunderstorm warning. Looks like this will be for damaging winds. And
there's a little,
I tell you, there is a mesocyclone.
Get a storm track on this because we need to, Selmer, again, our hearts go out to you guys. It was a horrible situation that happened last night with a very significant tornado that moved through.
Let me get a motion on that real quick. You got a motion on that?
Yeah, hang on one second. So it's going at northeast.
I got 55.
55.
All right, so we'll put that out here, and especially because of the situation in Selmer, this horrible situation, we want to be practicing our safe mindset. That much is for sure. A lot of first responders still out there, and again, we're not doing it to scare you. We're trying to make sure you don't get hurt again. So here's what we've got right now. Middleton, pretty much within the next couple of minutes. It's 3:58 now, so 4 o'clock. 4:06 out in Pocahontas. Sulphur Springs at 4:14. Woodville at 4:16. Same for Rose Creek. Raymer at 4:17. Masseyville at 4:20. Selmer, you'll be at about 4:20, so give it about 20 minutes or so, but you probably want to go ahead and just stay inside, stay away from windows with this one. Eastview and Bethel Springs. Bethel Springs, another community that's been impacted in recent years by tornadoes, so you know the drill there. Of course, this is not a tornado warning, this is a severe thunderstorm warning, but you do want to be inside, away from windows. You don't want to be outside, especially with electrical storms like this. And McNairy itself, 4:24. 40 Forks at 4:25, and Fenger at 4:28 p.m. here coming up.
I want to... So when you got the area rotation, that's GWX.
Yeah, this is GWX. So
what is OHX, or not OHX, sorry,
Memphis.
Memphis.
It kind of has that shear line there, and you can see it. It's lines up in the right spot, that's for sure.
What's this one down here? What's the reflectivity look like?
I'll bet you that's
in between stuff.
I bet you that's kind of in between those things. But you can definitely see kind of a two-way structure here. First of all, you got that punch coming out here, and that kind of inflow feature there. So there is a little bit of rotation that you want to keep an eye on, but that's not why this warning is issued. This is primarily for damaging winds 60 miles an hour or greater, as well as...
And it would come from that little impingement right there.
Yes.
Even though you're getting that, the main damaging wind potential is that winds coming on the backside of this, pushing it towards the Middleton area, and then you got that inflow, like Chase mentioned, coming back into this area. So you're getting a damaging wind punch right through here, and on that new scan right there, you can really see it. So it's getting close to, I believe, what is this highway right here? That's 57 right here. What's the north-south one?
Oh, this is let's see, I believe.
Because that's not 45. 45's further to the east.
No, it's that branch off 64
Yeah.
in Bolivar. I forget which highway that is.
It's the one that comes from Walnut,
yeah,
northern
it connects
Mississippi.
Bolivar and Walnut there, and that's going to be moving just probably right now. Like, you know, we've been talking about how these are delayed just a little bit. And this is base velocity, which you kind of want to use for straight line winds, and you can see that punch out there. This is a little high in the atmosphere, but it gives you the idea that you got these surging winds right here, probably in excess of 60 miles an hour at times. They're on the ground headed in Middleton right now.
Yeah, so again, this is a heads up for McNairy County and Selmer. It's not there yet. It's still back to your west, but this will eventually move into Sulphur Springs, Rose Creek, and the city of Selmer. And this will eventually move past that, and then we'll have to worry about what happens down the line, because then that will get into parts of Hardin County and potentially Wayne County. So this could be our next supercell that we'll have to watch, that could be on the board here for quite some time. These supercells, the ones that really get going, they're going to sustain themselves for quite some time. They're not going to come up and get severe and then quickly collapse. They're going to last a little bit longer. Some of the smaller cells, like what we saw over in Wayne County, they fall apart rather quickly. So it's not, our main concern is going to be bigger storms like this, because they're going to be able to sustain themselves longer. And the other thing is, once we go throughout the remainder of the afternoon and into the evening hours, our severe parameters get a tad bit more favorable. We get a little bit more shear involved. And so we might, even though we don't really have big time tornado potential right now, give it a little bit of time and we might actually start having some more issues. What does the environment on the radar look like southwest of that? I know you backed out earlier.
Yeah,
I wasn't really paying too much attention to what you're showing. So this is, we're looking at some model guidance back behind the scenes, and it is showing what's happening here is you're getting a lot more robust updraft development. You've got a supercell here right along Interstate 55 south of Memphis. You have another supercell here near Ripley. You have that supercell that's south of Bolivar moving into the into the McNairy County area. So this is Chase. This is some of the model guidance that we were watching for. The other question is there any back build to it? Is there stuff that develops back to the southwest?
Right, and I would also add that it's not something right now that we're concerned about, but you do see even more development, little tiny spots.
And even like right down here towards Columbus,
yeah, right down there, and over here, pristine environment.
Over here too, a little bit.
Yeah, you can see the 22 corridor lifting northeast. So there's little spots trying to do it. That much is for sure.
Go ahead and put that in motion real quick.
Yeah, absolutely.
And see exactly how they're developing.
So here just recently, over the last couple of scans, we're starting to see a little bit of pop in here.
Yep.
And like I said, right now they're not too concerning, but if we start seeing lightning pop with these, that means they've broken through the cap, or what little cap there is. There's really not a lot of that at all.
It's more of still the ridge that's in place down here as opposed to just an actual cap.
Indeed.
But the thing that's kind of catch my eye, that's making me a little concerned, is the fact that if you keep that loop going, you notice how all this stuff off to the west of 55 develops. You have a lot of updraft that go on, and then all of a sudden, boom, you kind of have that one dominant storm that starts taking shape. Same thing here with Ripley. You had a little bit of just a lot of upward motion. You got some different cells that popped up, then all of a sudden, boom, you're getting one kind of dominant storm. Those are the ones that we're really going to have to keep a close eye on for that supercell tornado potential as we go throughout the remainder of the afternoon and evening, especially because there's nothing to the south of it. Our winds are coming out of the south, so if you have anything that's behind it, that can block that potential inflow into the storm. There's nothing behind these right now, and if there is something behind it, it's spaced out enough to where there won't be much of an issue with that inflow getting inhibited from going to the storm to the north. Spacing is everything when it comes to severe weather and supercells that produce tornadoes. If they get widely spaced, you have issues. If they get too close together, they struggle to maintain their organization and their severity, especially when it comes to tornado potential. They'll produce hell like crazy, but you might have less tornado potential if they get clustered up. But the ones that are right here, they're spaced out very nicely, so that's something that we'll have to keep a very close eye on. Again, our next severe thunderstorm warning down the line here is the one coming into McNairy County, so Selmer, heads up for you guys. Again, I know we're thinking of you, we're praying for you all over there because it's just a disastrous situation from that tornado overnight. But there's another supercell that's coming right up your door. And good thing is I'm not seeing anything that says imminent tornado, but it doesn't mean that it can't later on down the road. So Selmer, do another quick storm track real quick, Chase, and then we'll toss it back to regular programming, kind of get a quick break here. We've been on for, what, about 45 minutes now, I think?
Yeah, something like that.
Something like that.
Definitely got plenty to talk about.
Yeah, I got plenty to talk about, exactly. So again, this is a heads up for McNairy County and the Selmer area. For you guys, Selmer 421, Bethel Springs 422, the town of McNairy at 425, Finger at 428, New Lawton at 429, Leapwood at 433, and Adamsville at 434. Again, there's no tornado warning on this. This is a severe thunderstorm warning for damaging winds and that large hail potential. Kelly, do you have, you cut your mic off. You have nothing over there, I guess. So again, yeah, that's the only thing we're watching for, that tornado warning, like I mentioned, that we were on, is for Murray County. That is, it's way out of your area, and they've actually canceled that warning for Murray County. So this is the only warning on the board that we're watching for moving into McNairy County, eventually into parts of Hardin County. Chase, do you have anything else to add before we toss things back to programming real quick?
No, I think I'm good back here. We'll just keep an eye on some other sources. But
right.
So far, good news out of Murray County. No reports of any damage, no reports of a tornado touchdown or anything like that. So I think we're in a good spot.
Yep.
Right about now.
All right, perfect. All right, we're not going anywhere. Like I mentioned, we're still here watching things. We'll be taking a quick break here. Our next update will be right around 4:30. So we'll go through the bottom of the hour, and then we'll keep watching things. Again, if we have new warnings or new urgent information to give you, we'll be back on here in a moment's notice. For meteorologist Kelly Ross and for Chase Wilson, I'm meteorologist Taylor Platt. Thank you for sticking with us here at the Tennessee Valley Weather Center. We'll continue to keep you advised.
You're watching the Tennessee Valley Weather Channel.